Welcome to Real Film Snobs. I'm Kara Knoll.
That makes me Brian Michael. Yes, we are joined today by Kara Knoll, our very special friend of the show. Angela, of course, is not here today because she's still working on catching up on all those MCU movies. Score one for me. So let's get right down to it because we have a period piece, we have a horror film, we have a thriller as well as a documentary and another thriller. So we got lots to look forward to here. And well, yeah. So let's jump right into our first one, which is the Downton Abbey movie, or is it just calling it Downton Abbey?
Downton Abbey, the movie, I think,
movie?
something
Sure.
like that.
And this is the continuing story, actually, of the Crawley family as well as their servants, because now the big twist and the reason for the movie is the king and queen are coming for a visit. Now, if you're a fan of the show, like myself, you're going to like this movie, or you're going to love this movie, because I thoroughly enjoyed that show very much. That's 5-year run on PBS. It was a little soapy, it was a little melodramatic, it was a period piece, and I really enjoyed that show. And so going into this film, I didn't have too high expectations because I was so worried that we're going to try to cram reasons for having the existence of this film, like they did with Sex and the City, and just making it something terrible and stupid.
Yeah.
And this one actually did a really good job. They kept this, it just feels like a long episode. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours or so, and it feels like a long episode, which isn't the worst thing in the world because I did enjoy these characters. It's nice seeing them back. And the previews give it away that Carson even comes back, which was, as soon as they came back and they saw the younger gentleman who's now become the head butler, I thought, oh, what about Carson?
Yeah.
Is there a way we can? Oh no! And then they found a really nice way to bring him back, and I was like, yay! Everybody clapped because we saw the sneak preview.
Yes. So I would agree. For me, it was kind of like taking a trip to like one of your very favorite places, and just enjoying the ride and the journey and the time spent there. Didn't have a lot of substance to me, but it had a lot of humor and nostalgia. One of my favorite things, as you know. And I just thought it was really well crafted and kind of a gift to the fans. I do think it would be hard for those who haven't seen any of the show because there were a lot of nods to things that happened in earlier seasons and characteristics of some of the characters that I don't think you would understand the depth or the humor if you hadn't seen the show.
Yeah, if Angela was here, she was like, I didn't know who any of those people were. They did not explain anything about any of those people were. And I didn't know what was going on exactly. Because they don't go in there and say, hello, wife, or, they do anything to kind of introduce, because we already know who they all are. And so I didn't mind that, again, as a fan of the show. I really enjoyed it because it did keep the tone of the television show throughout. Certainly with the servants downstairs, I always love the commotion of everything that's going on down there. They're very excited about serving the king and queen. Then they find out that they're bringing their own chef and everything. So they were just like, but this is part of the abbey and this is part of the estate that we are to be doing this. So I thought that was a really nice, good twist there. And then there's some items that go missing, and the little tiny touches that are just kind of mentioned here and there. And then at the end, they kind of wrap things up together, and they do wrap it up in a nice big bow.
They do.
We're just coming at the end of summer, and sometimes, I still kind of like a light entertainment is nice.
Oh, I agree. And I actually want to go see it again if I can. Yeah, because it is, like I said, taking a trip to a wonderful place that you love to visit. The costumes alone or the clothing is worth seeing the movie for, honestly. Beautiful set design, beautiful scenery, beautiful clothing. And I do love all the little sweet vignettes with the different help, that are there, and getting to know the new staff of the king and queen. I think that was a nice little element.
Yeah, no, again, if Angela was here, because that's half the voices I hear in my head. One is just Angela, and the other one's just something screaming. And so, or sometimes it's the same thing. And she would say, well, I found really interesting was that, you saw the classes. And of course, they're servants. Of course, you're going to be seeing the classism there throughout. But I always, even just then, they still kind of talk a little bit about, should we still be doing this? Should we be still doing the Abbey? This way of life, is this something that still needs to continue? There was a couple things that were kind of thrown in at the end, especially when, I don't want to give anything away, but there was kind of a secret was told at the end dealing with, and so that gave a nice longing look, at the dance at the end, which I thought was, I didn't think that was necessary. I did get caught up in the film, though, because they started talking about the visit, and of course the dinner's coming up, and we're going to be doing this. And it was like, okay, this is nice. And then pretty soon I started leaning forward in my seat because, again, I do enjoy these characters. and I don't think it really missed a step. I think if you were actually to watch the series, and you're much like the X-Files movies, you can watch the series, watch the movie, then get right back into the series, at least for the first X-Files movie. This one is a nice little continuation, and you know, we'll see. But it made me want to see this series again.
Yeah, it did. It's not season 1. Season 1 tops everything. But it does make me want to go watch the whole thing again and watch the movie again, too.
Yeah, and this is where I would try to convince Angela, you need to watch the television show.
Yes, absolutely.
As always,
watch the television show.
And she never would do that, even though I always thought that they were very subtle about how the family was moving forward when they brought in a radio or when the telephone came in.
Yeah.
My favorite was the daughter wore pants. That was the season finale. I have pants! Yeah. And they were like, oh! And of course, Maggie Smith is, you know, her barbs back and forth are always fantastic. They just, this was just kind of going through the greatest hits, but I didn't mind that whatsoever. A little floating thingy.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, it is exciting.
Okay, so I would give it 3 stars.
And I would give it 3 stars as well.
Okay, so it's a good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Solid.
Okay, unfortunately we don't have a clip, but thank goodness we don't have a clip for our next movie, which is It Chapter 2, because if you're a fan of the show and you watch this, you know that the first one scared the bejesus out of me, and I finally got my bejesus back. So have it scared out of me again? Well, with It Chapter 2, it's a continuation story, certainly from the first one for the children in Derry who are now adults, and just, you know, still very good-looking people. Wow, they all grew up into be
very
James
good-looking
like James
people.
McAvoy and Bill Hader and Jessica Chastain. I mean, that's not so bad there. They've all returned to town now. It's been 27 years, and Pennywise has awoken. Yeah. And starting to kill. And they've all made the promise back in the first one to come back and certainly dispose of Pennywise, and that's what they all at first very, very reluctantly are willing to do, and I really enjoyed that about it, how they had all gotten away from Derry, completely forgotten, as they did in the book, and then coming back, they were just kicking and screaming, not wanting to. Certainly Bill Hader really steals a lot of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
In a good and bad way, because he does it through humor, which there's a lot of in this movie.
Yeah, super sarcastic. That works, but yeah.
But when a horror movie, the first one, you know, they had their lighter moments during the scares, but this one will actually have jokes during the scare. I thought that was kind of interesting. That's the MCU effect. You can't be too serious too long without having undercutting comedy or some sort of laughter in there. But this one, there's been a lot of backlash on this film. A lot of people not liking it, and I was kind of surprised by it because I did enjoy this one.
Because I felt like I was kind of back in business with the first one. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say it was as scary as the first one.
Correct.
But from what I've understood, it's been so long since I've read the book. It's actually pretty true to the real story, the actual story.
To the real life events.
When it really happened, when Pennywise came to Derry.
Yeah.
When it was in the papers. And so I appreciate that was true to the story. I loved, and I hope this doesn't give anything away, there's a big cameo in there that's pretty hilarious to me. And I love that.
At the antique store?
Yes. That he chose to kind of poke fun at himself in that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an added bonus that I was not expecting.
So they have that with with James McAvoy's character, and I forgot Georgie's older brother, and he becomes the writer, and of course they talk about everyone criticizes him because he can't write the ending to his books are poor, and of course that's what a lot of people say about Stephen King, and so that's kind of the running joke in there about it. But I thought it kind of was interesting because of Georgie's death, that kind of stunted his growth in many ways. That where he wouldn't be able to be as a writer, that was what his effect on him was, that he wasn't able to finish because he's still not completed this task. He still has this journey to continue. So I thought that was kind of an interesting parallel there.
Yeah.
The Jessica Chastain character, of course, she was abused as a child. It was an abusive relationship as an adult.
That old lady is freaky and also funny.
See, yeah, and I thought that was, I could see she was terrifying. There's something about a naked old
lady running weirdly through her kitchen that is really creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, I will agree that the first one was scarier.
Yeah.
There had a lot more big scares that I certainly looked up on YouTube and still looked at YouTube to scare myself with. This one doesn't have as much, but I like that story. It's easier to like the first one when it's the kids, though.
Yeah.
Because you want to protect the kids.
Yeah.
You feel, you worry about the kids and their safety. When it comes to adults, you're like,
well, they're pretty selfish. Why do they need to go back to Derry?
Look how successful they are. They're fine.
They're fine. Just don't go back.
But it isn't as for, what is it, 2 hours and 45 minutes?
It is so long.
It's really long,
Yeah.
and to have such odd scenes like in the restaurant where they smash up a table with a chair, and there's no consequences to that or whatever. It's just kind of this weird moment that's actually funny, but it's odd. For as trying to tie up as many things and try to stay true to the book, there's a lot of loose ends that I think are kind of strange. That them splitting off into their own, knowing that they're strung together and then go off on their own.
I know that did not make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then the escaped guy from the
asylum.
Yeah, the asylum, that he kept showing up at the right time, but for some reason that wasn't fitting as well to me.
And they were able to stab him, and he was still able to live. And there was this,
that was a little far-fetched. Not that the rest of the story isn't far-fetched.
Yeah. But they needed more Pennywise, and I like the best scene in the whole movie is under the bleachers.
Yes,
with the little girl.
Scary.
That is terrifying.
And no mercy.
Yeah.
Like no mercy.
And they think they needed to do a little bit more of that, and I think it kind of got away from some of that, and so that was because Pennywise is what we. I mean, really, that's what we're paying to see.
The glass scene too, the glass room or the house of mirrors or whatever, that was pretty creepy
that was
too.
Done really
but again,
well
with the child, I think the key is using the children.
Yep. Yeah.
You're right.
People want to see clowns eating children.
They do.
I mean, that's the story that I'm getting here. Okay, so I give it 3 stars. I give it first and 3.5.
I agree with you. This is so weird. I said you're right, and now I agree with you. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, yeah, because earlier you were having a big argument with me about Star Wars versus Star Trek, and no, I think I did.
No,
but we'll move on to our next segment there.
Okay, our next segment is part of our date night picks, and we have a clip for this. You just saw a clip for Ready or Not. This is our date night pick. And partly because it's been out for a while, so you might be able to catch it in some second-run theaters. But it's the story of a troubled woman who's had a troubled history, and she's finally found the man of her dreams. And she is going to her wedding day. She gets to meet his family. She gets to maybe help build a bridge between his family and her, and them, mend some fences there. And all she has to do is play a game. And then it goes crazy and totally unexpected. And it ended up being just a thrill ride that was totally unexpected and fun. And they did all these crazy, grotesque things that I wasn't expecting. And I would give it 4 stars because I loved it. It was so much fun. And it was like, I hate almost saying that because it's going to be embarrassing if people go see this and they think, what is wrong with Kara for liking this movie so much? But it was just totally unexpected to me. From the directors, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. I'm hoping I'm saying their names right, because they're kind of unknown to me. I don't know what they've done before, but I certainly hope they do more.
Movie Southbound and Devil's Dive. I'd never heard of those. So this was a film that I saw previews for this one few months back or whatever, and of course you go, is that Margot Robbie?
Yeah.
It's not. It's Samara Weaving, who looks a lot like her from certain angles. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, oh no, she looks like Margot Robbie. What a horrible situation to be in. Really? She gets the family tradition is on the wedding night they pull cards in whatever game, whether it's chess like that someone had done or Monopoly or something like that. This one is hide and seek, and that means she has to hide and they hunt her.
Like
in the
kill
house,
her.
To kill her.
Yeah.
And it is very much so a thriller. It's very exciting, and it's a black comedy because there's some staff, and they get killed by accident on several occasions. It's very, very funny. It's really funny. And it got good reviews, and so I thought, well, we were all, it was a Friday night, we all decided to go to the movies together, and we had low expectations, didn't know much about it, and man, did we have a good time.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Everyone in the theater was rolling and laughing.
And screaming and yelling.
And it didn't quite find its audience. It's got a small budget, and it's made some money, but I was really hoping this movie would have taken off.
Yeah.
This is the kind of one of they'll do a sequel. It'll be straight to video or streaming or something like that. But I really enjoyed this. There wasn't too many times where she's running and makes a dumb decision where you're like, no, don't go upstairs. What did you do that for? Well, no, don't go to this way. There were several times I'm like, yep, that's what I would do. Yeah, do that. Go to, and then.
Well, and it's all happening in her wedding dress.
Yes.
Which is also makes it humorous. But the other part of that, I guess I can't remember now. I looked this up. I think they had 18 different wedding dresses for her to wear in different stages of her throughout the night.
Yes.
And it's just, I don't know, every moment until the very last second is unexpected to me.
And that ending, I thought, was so off the wall and so far-fetched that it was, because the first time it happened, you're like, what?
Wait.
And the second time, you're like, wait. And then about the third time, everyone starts laughing.
Yeah.
And then and then the anticipation and the tension is just like, keep going. And they really go all out. And I really enjoyed that. I mean, this movie was like, this is our premise, and we are sticking to it.
Yes.
We're not moving from this. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. There's so many scenes. My favorite was, she finally gets in a car and tries to escape. OnStar, you suck so much. That was so frustrating because there was so many times where she's near escape and it just pulls her back in.
It was like, it wasn't far-fetched. I mean, the premise is far-fetched, hopefully. But it wasn't far-fetched that, you're right, that could happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the typical, I'm just going to hide in the corner and see if I don't get hurt.
Well, then again, Angela's missing, so I'll say, when you see the 1% here that's, very privileged and have done things in the past, or their family has, to make their fortune, and then being able to be so elitist that they can think that they can do this, because you're thinking, the first thing you think is, they're going to murder her, and how are you going to get away with it? Well, they have ways, and they have ways of disposing, and how they dispose of the bodies is really disgusting. This was just, I keep telling people about it, and I've only few people had heard about it, and those who did were like, was the one with Margot Robbie?
Yeah.
That's not Margot Robbie. Sure,
so
yes.
Are you going to give, how many stars are you going to give
It's a 3-star film for me
Okay.
as well. I liked it. I didn't love it as much as you did, but it's a good time. If it comes on streaming, I'll sit and watch it again.
Yeah. Okay, so our next segment is Her Fresh Picks. And it's the documentary American Factory, directed by Stephen Bognar, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, and Julie Reichart, the two very well-known film documentarians. They've won some awards, or at least been nominated. And she's been quite a revolutionary documentarian. So this particular documentary focuses on Fuyao, I think I said that right, a Chinese company that opened here in the U.S. in 2014. It kind of came in as a savior to a community who had lost GM. They came in, filled their plant with this new factory, hired a bunch of people, and the documentary just kind of profiles from setup to current day how that has all evolved, and kind of the clash of cultures, not only in between the China and the U.S., but also union, non-union. Very intriguing documentary. I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't know, I'm going to recommend this even though it's not on the show, but there's a 10-minute segment that you can watch that follows it.
Oh, I didn't get to watch that.
Yes, and it's called American Factory, I think an interview with Michelle and Barack Obama, and they interview the documentary makers. And it adds a little more insight.
Oh, I totally want to see that.
It's only like 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, so this one's actually as a Netflix film. I picked 2 Netflix movies, for this episode. But I thought it was interesting because I worked here in Salem at Sumco, which was a Mitsubishi company, which was Japanese owned, obviously, and they brought in a lot of Japanese values to the plant. And we actually had a lot of training and shared management and stuff, and it was just a different way of thinking. It was interesting because it was, well, I won't get too far into it. But anyway, so to see this juxtaposition of American workers as opposed to not necessarily the Chinese workers, but just the expectations of the workers, because these Chinese workers come in, they have 2 days off a month, whereas Americans are like, what? What? And so you get to see the Chinese manager and the foreman sitting there and complaining about the Americans working too fat, working too slow because they got fat fingers, or you just get to see the two cultures there, and it's there's wrong and right happening on both sides necessarily. It's very interesting to see that, and also just seeing just this big company working together. It's It was fascinating.
Very fascinating.
Yes.
And coming from a workplace safety background, I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
There's
When
no
they
argument
visited
with that situation.
The plant in China, I was like, they're picking up broken glass and they don't have the appropriate personal protective equipment.
Or the goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so fascinating to watch. I would recommend it.
Yes. No, I get 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed that one. And I just heard about it through, I think it was a podcast that we had heard about it, so I was excited that we get to sit and watch that one. So we'll move on to our next one. Okay, so our next one is a streaming pick. This is also on Netflix. This is Hold the Dark. I did not heard about that. It came out on streaming about a year ago, but I was looking up Jeremy Saulnier, who is a director of Green Room and Blue Ruin, 2 films that we absolutely loved. And I was like, what has he done lately? And then I found out that he had this other movie, Hold the Dark, and it was on Netflix. And what the heck how come I not heard about this? Because usually, right now they're telling me to watch that horrible Ashton Kutcher TV show. Like every time I turn on Netflix, that's all they're telling me to watch is The Ranch.
You're right.
God, I will know. I won't. And so I was like, why wasn't I told about this? It stars Jeffrey Wright, Alexander Skarsgård, which would make Angela very happy. And this is, Jeffrey Wright is a man who's brought into a small town, a small woods town that children have disappeared. They believe it's because of wolves. And so he's a writer, but he's also a tracker. And so he's brought in there to try to find the children and to dispose of this den of wolves that is killing the children. They suspect is killing the children. That is the start of the movie, and that is not where it goes. I love this director. I love what he does.
Yeah.
He works a lot with Macon Blair, who also acts in this movie and is also the co-writer of this, or the writer of the screenplay. About these people who are very unprepared to be in extraordinary situations, because it's what Green Room and Blue Ruin was definitely about, and that's definitely what we get to see here with great restraint by Jeffrey Wright.
Oh yeah.
This movie, though, I can't recommend, and I'm so bummed by that because of his storytelling and being able to not necessarily wrap everything up in the first 2. This one just felt very open-ended, and it just had a lot of ideas that kind of never got pulled together, and I never kind of understood what the mother's role and what she was kind of doing, and then her husband is looking for, trying to get revenge because of the child. It's a lot of ideas coming in there.
See, I think I might have liked it a little bit more than you did. I didn't like it as much as Blue Ruin or Green Room. It's pretty hard to top those.
Yeah.
It did make me, though, want to read the book because I was left with some questions.
Yeah.
But I thought that the restraint, I think that was what was so appealing to me.
Yeah.
And I did kind of see a storyline going through with the wolves versus the humans, as far as they were kind of following the same storyline. And I think that's where the mother was actually coming in was.
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you're
And
saying.
so, and the
Okay.
mother, I just need to mention, is Elvis Presley's granddaughter. That's
which I'm sure
important.
she loves, that you
Yeah.
don't say her name, but you said
Yeah.
she's the
Riley
granddaughter.
Keough.
There
I'm
you go.
assuming it's like Matt Keough, one of the former Oakland A's. Anyway.
Oh, there it is. There's the Oakland A's. Wow, it took us a while, folks, to get that plug put in here, but we got the Oakland A's mentioned with the Null on the show. Whew, we got that in the nick of time. I was wondering when we were going to get that in.
But I actually did enjoy it. I thought the cinematography was pretty amazing in it.
Yeah.
And my dad actually decided to watch it too, since I was watching it. And he basically said, I really liked it, but I have a lot of questions.
It kind of reminded me of, oh no, I'm going to forget the name of the movie. The guy who wrote Hell or High Water, then his next movie he wrote and directed.
That guy.
Jeremy Renner, Windrunner.
River.
Wind River. It reminded me a little bit of that, but that one I thought was, a little more cohesive and kind of moved things moved forward there.
Oh, I love
this one
Wind
did
River.
have, this one had just a little too many questions, and not nearly the comedy that his first 2 had.
No. Yeah, there was no comedy,
There's
was there?
no comedy in this movie. It
Yeah.
is a solemn.
But I was a little worried that Macon Blair wasn't going to be in it. I'm like, where is he? Because they're like best friends and grew up together and stuff. And it was kind of making me sad that I'm like, oh, there he is. Thank
There's
goodness.
an amazing shootout that happens in this
Yes.
movie that I
Yeah.
thought was really handled really well. I really love this director. I'm hoping this is just, a hiccup, and I'm hoping that he's learned from this and he kind of brings the two styles together, and we'll see. I want to see so much more from him. I love his work. I would even recommend seeing the movie, even though I didn't like it, just to see his work. I just think he's an amazing filmmaker. So we both recommend Downton Abbey. We both recommend It Chapter 2. We both recommend Ready or Not, but you loved it a lot more than I did, as well as American Factory, which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to recommend Hold the Dark just to watch for him, but
I would for a select audience. Be prepared to, kind of sit and think about it for a little while.
I got to look things up on Wikipedia and find out what they all meant. I won't lie. Certainly, you can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. You can watch us on YouTube. You can hear us on KMUZ, as well as watch us on CCTV out in Silverton, also out in Corvallis. We want to thank our amazing sponsors, our wonderful, hardworking, quick-working crew, as well as our beautiful co-host, Kara. Thank you so much for stepping in. And you, the viewer at home, have a great day and great movies.